The window watcher. Have you ever felt a shiver late at night and instinctively turned to your window? Maybe you pulled the curtain tighter or peered into the inky blackness, just to be sure. But what if, just once, something was actually there? Not a shadow, not a trick of the light, but eyes staring back. What if that wasn't the first time? What if it had been watching you for weeks, maybe months, before you ever knew? Tonight, we're going to talk about the window watcher. And by the end, you might just find yourself checking your locks a little more carefully. This isn't just one story. It's a chilling phenomenon, an urban legend whispered in hushed tones, but rooted in terrifyingly real accounts. Tonight, I'm sharing 3 such encounters. These are the tales of ordinary people living ordinary lives who slowly, agonizingly, realized they weren't alone in their own homes. We'll experience the creeping dread of those nights, the turning points when suspicion became certainty, and the worst moments when the watcher finally made a move. What it cost them, what followed, and what never truly left them. Consider this a late-night warning, a quiet understanding of what lurks just beyond the glass. The first story begins in a quiet suburban neighborhood in the late 90s, the kind where everyone knew each other, or at least thought they did. Sarah, a college student, lived alone in a small house with a big backyard, surrounded by tall oak trees. She worked late shifts, often getting home well after midnight. Her only routine was a cup of tea, a quick check of emails, and then bed. Simple, predictable. But then the small thing started. A faint scuff on the windowsill she couldn't explain. The garden gate, always latched, found slightly ajar in the morning. At first, she brushed it off. Kids, raccoons, the wind, it was easy to rationalize away. The human mind is remarkably good at dismissing the unsettling. But the feeling persisted. That prickling sensation on the back of her neck when she was alone in the living room, even with the curtains drawn. A certainty that someone was just outside. The second account jumps forward to a cold winter night just a few years ago. Mark, a graphic designer, lived in a renovated loft apartment in a bustling city. His large floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked a narrow alleyway, mostly used for trash collection. He'd always enjoyed the urban grit, the anonymous bustle, until he started noticing the flicker, a subtle, almost imperceptible shadow darting across the alley below his window, always in his peripheral vision. He'd glance down and it would be gone. A trick of the light, he thought, or perhaps a cat. But the flicker became more frequent, more intentional. It felt observed. One evening he was on a video call, talking animatedly, his face illuminated by the screen. He happened to glance up at the darkened glass, and for a split second, he saw it. A pale, indistinct face pressed against the glass from outside, just at the edge of his perception, reflecting in the window's surface. It vanished the instant he focused. Mark went cold. The alley was 3 stories down. No fire escape, no building opposite. How could anyone be there? He dismissed it as fatigue, a vivid hallucination. But the fear, once planted, began to grow. Here's what we know so far. 2 separate individuals in 2 different settings, both experiencing unexplained phenomena that suggest an unseen presence. What connects them is the feeling of being watched, a slow burn of dread. The third story is perhaps the most unnerving. It comes from a woman named Chloe, who lived in a secluded cottage in the woods. Her only neighbors were miles away. She cherished the solitude. For months, she felt an unease she couldn't place. Things were moved slightly. A kitchen chair a few inches from where she'd left it. A window latch she swore she'd secured, found unlatched. The tipping point came one evening while she was drawing a bath. Her bathroom window, usually fogged from the steam, cleared for a moment, and through it, she saw a pair of eyes. Not just eyes, but a face, gaunt, unblinking, utterly devoid of emotion, peering directly into her home.
It was close enough that she could see the faint condensation on the glass where it was pressed. She froze. Every cell in her body screamed danger. The face didn't move. It simply watched. Time stretched, thick and suffocating. Then, slowly, almost imperceptibly, a smile began to spread across the watcher's face. It was not a warm smile, not a human smile. It was wide, too wide, and utterly predatory. Chloe didn't scream. She couldn't. She just backed away, her heart hammering against her ribs until she hit the far wall. The face remained, the smile growing, its eyes never leaving hers. What would you do? Would you run? Would you confront it? Or would you just watch back? Chloe eventually managed to pull herself together, to get help, to move. She never saw the watcher again. Mark installed security cameras, floodlights, and never again felt truly comfortable in his loft. Sarah moved too, always keeping her curtains drawn. What still doesn't feel right about these stories, and so many others like them, is the sheer audacity, the patience, the slow, deliberate escalation that goes unnoticed until it's too late. It's not about breaking in, it's about breaking down. The window watcher doesn't want your possessions, it wants your peace. It wants to know it can invade your sanctuary without ever crossing the threshold. It wants you to know it's there. Remember the question from the beginning? What if something was actually there? For Sarah, Mark, and Chloe, it was. And the creepiest part? For weeks, maybe months, they were the ones who were blind to it. These aren't just stalkers. They're observers, architects of dread, patiently eroding your sense of safety. They weaponize the ordinary, turning your own windows into portals of fear. The police could never catch them. No forensic evidence. Just the chilling accounts of victims left with a pervasive, lingering terror, a knowledge that somewhere, out there, something might still be watching. And when you pull your curtains tonight, or glance at your reflection in the dark glass, just remember these stories. Remember that some eyes, once they start watching, rarely ever truly stop. Have you ever experienced that inexplicable feeling of being watched, or heard an urban legend about a window watcher in your own town? Share your stories or your thoughts on these accounts in the comments below. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more late-night tales that will make you question the shadows. Sleep tight,